we were just as the American soldiers burst across the bridge, and so the knowledge you have now, Allen, as opposed to what you knew then, what is the significance of this? What is the significance of you guys getting across this bridge and into Germany? What did it mean?
This was the first time infantry foot troops crossed the Rhine since Napoleon.
So everybody that's watching this film, you should all know that Allen's memories of World War II are extremely emotional. And once in a while we're going to have one of these little things where we all start crying and all this because we all know this is very dramatic. So the gist I'm getting out of this is probably the first time in the history of the world that an American soldier attacked Germany and walked across the bridge, right? And it's the first time since Napoleon that any army got into Germany.
That was the French army, of course.
That was the French army. They got across their one. Yeah. You guys, now you were the next only ones in history to do this. So, how many people, I mean, did you watch people get killed and you said they were firing at you and stuff? Did people die?
Well, I watched one guy right in front of me take a machine gun bullet, at least I thought it was a machine gun bullet, and he fell through a hole in the bridge into the Rhine River, and that was the last time we ever saw him.
So we don't know what happened to him.
So it was very dangerous because the bridge had been bombed and shelled very often, and now there were big holes everywhere in the bridge, and it was very easy to just step through one of those holes and you were gone.
So where did you spend the next night? Where did you sleep the next night? That night? The day this happened, where did you sleep that night? Where?
We slept where we always slept, outdoors on the ground. It was March the 8th, and it was cold. We'd get boughs off of pine trees and put them on the ground, and that was our mattress, and we spread out our, what was called a poncho. You wore it, or you slept on it, or you used it for anything you needed. And then we had one blanket and a certain kind of sack. Can I use a descriptive word, what everybody called it?
What?
It was called a fart sack.
So,
it's zippered up.
That's why you pan over to me when I'm talking. So now you're seeing, well, it all sounded real simple. You know, some soldiers got out of a truck and ran across the bridge. No, it wasn't quite like that. First of all, these guys were carrying everything they needed on their backs, plus their guns, their heavy boots, etc. They never in their whole lives thought they were going to be, you know, in a war. Probably, was this the first battle you were in?
No, but it was the biggest.
Was the biggest.
Yeah.
So then, just what really happened in the next few days? You know, what went on? What were some interesting stories or anything that went on right after this? Right after you got across the bridge?
Well, I told you we landed in a town called Urkel, and then when night comes, you and your partner, you always have a partner. If there's enough men to have two to a hole, we do a foxhole. And we share this hole together. And my partner was Joseph P. Killen. Wonderful man.
The guy that still calls you?
Oh, yeah.
You still know him?
Oh, I think he's the greatest guy.
Okay, audience, this is very interesting. I know Allen pretty good, and this is a guy that still calls him all the time, and I hear him say stuff like, yeah, we're the last ones left and all that. And recently there was a TV series that included this part of the war, and we suddenly saw it on History Channel, and on that night you spoke to him, didn't you? Are you speaking to someone else who knew about that? Because you were telling someone that we were on, our thing was on TV and all that. So actually, Allen, knowing what you know now, and I'm not finished with the story about this, but I want to ask one more question. How many people in your unit were killed with what you know now?
At this one
Battle,
battle,
yeah.
I'd have to guess, but I'd say probably 100.
100.
See, the Germans were trying to drive us back into the Rhine River.
So when you guys get across the bridge and when the soldiers get in, do they bring ambulances and doctors and stuff too? Or
Well, that's usually just a couple of guys with a stretcher.
so where did they have painkillers or?
They had morphine, yeah.
So was that a big fear to you? Am I going to get wounded or sick, and who's going to take care of me? You know.
Well, first let me tell you that my partner, Joe Killen, got his head up out of the hole to look around, and at that time, an 88, which is a German artillery piece, the shell landed very close to it, and a piece of this shell went through his steel helmet into his head, and I took one look at that, and I thought, I'll never see him again. But I did.
And he's still alive today, too, you know?
Right. And he was screaming, asking me to take his helmet off, and I said, Joe, if I take your helmet off, I'm going to pull out some of your brains. I said, you don't want that? And then they came and took him away, and I thought I'd never see him again.
Okay.
He recovered.
So this was going on, so this is going while you were trying to sleep?
No, this is during the day.
That was during the day. At night, though, when you finally camped that night, was there any firing at you in the night or anything?
Oh, all night long.
All night long?
Yeah.
Other people were fighting and you were sleeping maybe, or what?
Well, you don't sleep very well during a barrage, but you might catch a few minutes, you know.
Okay. So, then when did they tell you what you're going to do next? Well, how did they organize you after that, or where did you go?
They didn't know what they were going to do next. It was, at one point we were told we were completely surrounded and we'd probably be captured, but they didn't know. And they said, throw away all your German money, all your souvenirs, any kind of daggers or pistols or anything, because they would be very difficult with you if they found that on your person.
Right. So you didn't camp out forever, though. Finally, they gave you some kind of...
They got to us finally. But it took about 3 days. And during that time, we had very little to eat. We drink just the water laying on the ground or whatever we'd get. And we figured we'd be in, you know, some kind of a German Stalag or something.
Pretty soon, yeah.
But it never got to that.
Because then the next thing was, what was your next orders, or what was the next thing that happened?
Well, the rest of the regiment arrived to give us some relief, and just how many days or what, I don't remember. It was all very, well, I mean, there was still constant artillery fire, but we didn't come close to any Germans any longer. They pulled back, I guess. But we at one time could hear them speaking German, so we knew there were men out there.
You could hear them sort of somewhere speaking German.
Not very far away.
So where was this place where you such an old concentration camp or something? Where was that?
Oh, that was after the war.
That was after the war was over?
Yeah.
So.
But we did free some a lot of Polish.
What did you get the Purple Heart for?
Mm-hmm.
What was the reason you?
Well, we came on a concentration camp called Nordhausen, and there were these poor people DPs, displaced persons, all types of people in terrible condition, just skin and bones. Some of them have been there for quite a while, and some were later arrivals. But we opened the gates, and we didn't know what to expect. But the ones that could walk or run headed right for the bakery. They apparently knew where it was, and removed.
So that was after the war or before the war?
This is during the war.
Okay.
I just
Okay.
throwing this in.
Yeah. So you were went around Jenny quite a bit in between the Remagen and the end of the war.
Well, yeah, the crossing of the bridge was March the 8th, and the end of the war was May the 8th.
So this was all in 1945,
45.
March 8th, 1945, in Germany, and then the war was over by May, only a few months later.
Yeah.
Okay.
And by the way, General MacArthur gave us a unit citation, and he said that